know what reptile theory is because we're not really supposed to talk about that. My name is Paige Sparks. I'm a trial attorney, and I'm going to tell you what the reptile theory is. The reptile theory is basically a form of psychology used by plaintiffs' attorneys when we're asking the jury to give us an award of damages, an award of money. You're trying to get to the primal fear part of their brain to send a message to this company to make the world safer for everyone. You've got to send a big number. That's kind of what it sounds like. The theory works by establishing safety rules with your jury, show how the company violated those safety rules that we all agreed on before, and then you say they need to send a message because how would you feel if this happened to you or your family, which we literally can't say to the jury. So you have to be very creative if you go into this area, because you're going to get screamed at by the judge, or the defense is going to do a motion in limine before you even get to court saying you cannot talk about reptile theory, which I've seen. Let's walk through an example together. So let's say we're on trial for a trucking accident injury case, and I'm here, the plaintiff attorney, and I'm going to use the reptile theory with the jury throughout the case. I think we can all agree that we want truck drivers to be safe on the road and follow the rules of driving. Like, don't use your phone to text people while you're driving the big tractor trailers, and certainly don't watch movies on them. Then you use that safety rule we all just agreed on together and say, now here's how the company violated this rule that you and I just agreed we think is bad. This truck driver was actually watching Netflix on his phone while he was driving back from Kansas City, and that's why he hit and killed my client, and now her family's crying in the courtroom. By tapping into the reptile part of the juror's brain, you're supposed to then evict emotion and make them scared that this could happen to them, which is why they need to punish the company so that this never happens again. And we can't say put yourself in their shoes. Usually that's all done pre-trial. The language is very particular what we are and are not allowed to say when we're saying put yourself in the situation. You have to be very careful how you do it, or you're going to get yelled at and you might get a mistrial. When it first came out, reptile theory was the thing. All the plaintiffs' attorneys were talking about it, but when it's not done well, it's very disingenuous. The jury sees right through it. They don't like it. They're not stupid. They know what you're trying to do. So if you start making up these weird safety rules to apply to an employment case, and the jury's going to see right through that because you're trying to freak them out and manipulate them. It's manipulation. However, sometimes the reptile theory is good for getting that emotional response when you do have a big damages case. This is when we see those huge verdicts coming from injuries because the jury wants to send a message to the company, and they do that by making them pay. Funny story, they have tried to gatekeep this whole reptile theory. If you go buy the reptile theory book by the original authors, it's $1,000 online, and that's the cheapest you're going to find it. Funny story, when I was a law student, someone loaned me this book. When I was reading it over the summer, I got a little pool damage, and I was like, oh shit, I messed up this book, I'll have to replace it. What's the worst could be? And I looked it up, and it was $1,000 to replace it. As a law student with limited income, I was like, shit. I DIY everything though, so I literally Gorilla Glued the whole thing, bound it back together. It looked beautiful, perfect, and I gave that book back as fast as I could because I was like, I do not want to be responsible for $1,000 freaking book, especially when I found out what the book was about. Like with anything, reptile theory is good sometimes, but it can be bad if it's not executed well, and the jury will see right through that. It's risky territory. Let me know what other questions you have about legal things.